Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, listeners. It's me, 𝗦𝘂𝗹𝗆 coming on Facebook Live. If you bear me a minute, let me share this on, and I will start the program. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I'm coming on Facebook Live as I advertise. Today is actually Saturday, the 18th of December 2021, and it's just gone about 6 minutes past 4 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England, and I've posted to share what's on my mind, and that's the reason I'm coming on. And as I said, I am on reflection, as I ask other Gambians and institutions to be in reflection on how we take part in the way forward. And but I have things that I need to share. I have to share. That's in my mind that I need to share with my followers and the people for that matter. And today is 6 years since I had this platform. 6 years. That was a year before the dictator was removed. A year before the dictator was removed. This is the 6th year having this platform. And as I said, this platform is part of my journey. This platform is part of my journey, as we all have a journey to go through. And this platform is part of my contribution on what I can impact socially. And we might say nationally, but socially, let me use that word, what we can impact socially. This is my contribution to that. And it's my personal responsibility. As we all have responsibilities, just as we have rights, we have responsibilities. I take this platform as my personal responsibility to take on, to impact on the social change that is required, based on my experience, based on my knowledge, based on my expertise, based on consultations. As I said, based on consultations, my knowledge, my experience, my expertise, based on consultation with people. Not everything that we know we say on air, but we try to share as much as possible in order to impact. But this is the 6th year. It's another important point to note. on starting alone. As I said, based on consultation, I would not do anything or take any major decision without consulting my immediate family, without consulting my loved ones, and depend on the matter to be discussed or to be dealt with without discussing with people that might have better experience or have a different view in order to capture that. Because I might be the messenger that send the message out, but the message is not entirely my message, but it's our message. It's a collective message that I think I would be proud of to stand behind and to push. But standing alone means with all that support, one have to sacrifice to move on and start, not to wait and think that other people will do it, or other people will come and do it for you, or other people will come and do it with you. This is one experience I have learned. This one experience I have learned, that it's important to take that step without waiting for orders. It's an important thing to take that step without putting other considerations, that whether you'll have support on what you do. It's important to believe in what you do and to be sincere with it and decide to do take on your contribution, and the rest will follow. And another point I've learned in this journey is that every little thing will help. Every good, small, as little as it is, will help. The important thing is to be put out there. If it's not put out there, people will not take ownership of it. If it's not put out there, it might never happen. It might never happen. This 6 years journey, as I said, the 6 years for this platform is just part of my journey. It's not entirely who I am, but there's a lot in it that tells you who I am, but it's part of the journey. That's why today, it's when I woke up, I never planned last night going to bed, I never planned coming on live, even though I had things that worries me or things I'm discussing behind the scenes, but I've never seen a need, or I had debated on should I not. But when I woke up this morning and Facebook reminded me that, oh, today the 18th of December is 6 years since you decided to have a platform, or since it happened that you had a platform, and that platform happened, as I said, putting myself out there, but people came together to encourage, to support, and there are a lot of people behind the scenes that made that possible. People like Charles Selector, I mean, the role he played. I shy away from technology, I shy away from a lot of things, but Selector would be behind the scenes to encourage, and other people that encourage. The people behind Fatou Network, Fatou Camara and the Fatou Network, Mama Linguère Charles, Tukulors, Omi Andrews, and lots of people that were involved with the Fatou Network. I mean, push and encourage. I've never planned to say I am going to have a platform, I want to have a platform. I mean, Facebook Live was not fashionable, radio, online radios were just out there. That does not mean that I was not active, but that what gave me a platform, then my journey continued. And I just have to throw this. When I first come to this country, to the United Kingdom, the first reason coming here was to be safe. That was my first, that's what the priority, to be safe. Because that was in 95, September. Things started to get a little bit clearer of where this country is going to. And I realized that the country is taking a path that I don't understand. And the best part of that, the best I can do from this is trying to insulate myself to see where I can impact. But that could not have been done, staying within. Because already, due to my background, my military background, due to my social contacts, my associations with people in the services and other places, I realized that I can't be in the country, silence, and even though still I might be at risk. The best thing would be to get out and to reflect on this. And on that reflection, I have to decide to stay away from the country. And I stayed away for 14 years. But away, physically away, but I was, involved in the country for, in any other decision, but physically away. And that was the wisest decision I've made. Because what I knew now, I did. And when I came to this country, as everybody will tell you, the first thing is have to survive. We all know that. People in the diaspora will tell you, well, first thing will be how to survive. Regardless of what you do, you need to survive. And nobody does that for you, you have to do it for yourself. But being myself, I now know why I think that way. I decided that I will never apply for asylum, even though I have helped a lot of people to apply for asylum. I refused. My thinking was, if I apply for asylum, it's admitting that I have run away, admitting that I've been defeated. That's me. I have nothing against anybody that decided to apply. I'm talking about me. But that's how I process some of, that's how my life is. I process things in that manner. I'll do whatever it takes to survive lawfully. I'll find ways to regularize myself, and I'll continue my life. And the second thing was what else to add value in my life. I thought about going to college. I had option going to college. I had another option. Was what would I do with the little, it makes me always to think of how do we prepare our young ones, the youths. I came almost 30 years old, but I literally have nothing to give out there apart from my physical being. But that little, what can I do with that little? I explored. Going to college was an option. And interesting enough, because I've never planned to take that route when I was in the Gambia, and never. From an early age, I decided that I'm on a journey and I have to follow the journey, which obviously change as we grow, and the circumstances, environment we live in, influence that change. But at that moment in London, this was one: how do I survive? What do I do next? Education was one. And again, I had the support. I have everything else. I even went into take the necessary steps. And I will again thank Tony Cisse, who was a teacher, my teacher in the Gambia, and a friend and family for that matter, who was part of that journey. encouraged to even enroll. But I decided against that due to the other circumstances that were overwhelmed. That no, I had another option. I'm straightforward away, and was actually leaving London, going back to Africa. And I explored that option to the extent of being signed on. To become a contract security. Technically, a mercenary. I have my terms of reference to be stationed in Guinea-Conakry. Because, as I said, the little I have was only valuable to these contractors. I reflected that day to the extent of signing on the dotted line. I went through a series of interviews with a company that was based in the UK here. There are a series of them here, people don't know, unless you know. With a company that had contract in the Mano River area, series of interviews, and obviously I passed, and they wanted me to be stationed in Guinea-Conakry due to my background, to sign on. It was on a Thursday. It was tempting. I have no money. I have a temporal sulfur and nothing else. Gambia was not an option. And I already planned not to go for the straightforward thing. It was easier then. I have a story to go straight to apply for asylum. I went against that. It was the easiest, but not something I wanted to do. Now, it was tempting to sign on this dotted line. I refused. Because again, my journey, that wasn't part of my journey. I have faith that, look, it's going to be difficult. I decided not to at that time. I left that. I moved on to my journey, and I did everything. Every kind of work that is legal to survive and take care of myself and to continue my journey. And I used to pray that let me not stick with where I have to be using my energy to do things, because I have a problem of trying to do things perfectly. If I'm a cleaner, I'll try to clean that room perfectly. Even in my house, I don't start cleaning unless I have time to do it, because if I start something, I have to get to the bottom of it. I pray to God that whatever I do, let me not end up doing this, because I'll not last, I'll break. I am not the person that can just do things. That's the journey. And went through that journey and to where we are here, and that led me to this platform and where we are now. And we are, again, the platform ended up us coming together, removing a dictator. We went on to have another 5 years for a transition to democracy. Now we've gone through the 5 years of democracy. Now we have to reflect on what's the next journey, and we're going to deal with that. But today, the other thing I want to talk about is, and I want every Gambian that will listen to this to take away your partisan lenses. It's not about political party. I want every Gambian that listen to this to think of the greater good, to think of the national interest, to think of Gambia for what I am coming to talk about here. We all recognized we have not achieved. I said we have not achieved, because the failure is ours, the reforms that were required. And the reforms, as we all know, are institutional. Be it the public, the civil service, the public sector, even the private sector, the social sector. As a nation, we have not drawn out that path that can give us a sustainable existence, to put it at short, then we can say we are not out of the wood yet. We are not. Probably we are even getting deeper into the woods. It's one thing to remove a person, a dictator, but it's something else to reform and be at that path. And I am one, because I know, I have seen, I've witnessed, I've understood, I've read. I am not for any form of violent change. I prefer an orderly, a strategic change that the people owns, based on the people led. I am going to talk about, briefly, about the issue surrounding the controversy of the arms seized. I'm using the word controversy because there are many questions not asked. And in my consideration, in my reflections on what path to take for the future, is part of looking at the vacuums. If I have an experience, expertise, and the support to operate, try to impact, to fill or participate in the areas that we have vacuum. As we know, the vacuums are from leadership to, let's go on, in many areas. Some institutions that need supported. But about this controversy about these arms, let's have a background. Social media broke the news. You see, social media is a social, it's a medium for social good. Yes, due to the way it is, people have freedoms. It's technically there's no control over it. It can be of impact if negatively, but it can be used for social good. This arms, the arms being brought in by the. I'll elaborate. But I mean, what I mean about the arms is the arms imported, brought into the Gambia by two, what we can call Western nationals and the PIU. I'll elaborate later. But it was break on social media. And I have a lot of inbox asking me, what do you think? What do you think? Privately, when I looked at the pictures, I gave my feedback. This is this, this is this. But I said, I don't know. I'll try and find out. I sent messages. It took time. Some messages started to come. And the version from the police, which was contrary to social media, came out. The people I contacted, they are part of the establishment. People I trust, that's what they know. First they said, look, I've just seen it, but I'll find out. And they went to find out from the stakeholders or people involved. People that came from one source explained to me, this is what actually happened. The army came across this and they took care of the incident in this way and manner. And as I've got that, what I did was to share with Gambians to say, look, I think things are under control. This is what's been said to me. I've got this information raw. I just sent it there to reassure Gambians, because there was kind of a lot of panic in certain areas, and people reach out to me trying to get information and to be reassured. What I can reassure them, I said, this is the version I have so far, and I trusted the sources that they spoke to people that would know this is what they have. And the police statement came in the morning. I saw it. I don't know when they sent it, but within the 24 hours, they gave the version. In more details anyway, in more details of what I said, that everything is under control, that it's under normal protocols. There's nothing dodgy about it. One thing the police did was they went and named one of the people that shared the information on social media. And technically they attacked the person, accused him of lying. But I'll tell you what, I think the person that broke it on social media is more truthful than the police in this sense, and I'll elaborate why. Because the army came and contradicted what the police said. And the army technically, and I mean, what they said mirrored more to what the social media person have reported. That's why we should be concerned and try to get to the bottom of this. When I saw the police statement, the police press release, based on the police press release, I said, I am not disputing what they have put out there, because they are an institution I trust that they will not come to lie to us about that. Some of the things they said, because if they do, it will be stupid, and we will find out soon. What I pointed out is, even though, if as I give them the benefit of the doubt with respect, this is what might have transpired, but I said there was deficiencies, there was incompetence, there was a breakdown in communication, which is very important in institutional, in organizations or operations. Very important. If you lose the communication, that operation fails. And I mentioned, as the controversy have proved. Now this become a controversy. We could have been just a routine operation. From the First Republic, what Gambians don't know, a lot of things have happened without civilians noticing. I have involved in operations which were very sensitive, without even some members, my colleagues, knowing about them. Need to know basis. I've been on reconnaissance, very sensitive. It have never brought to the news. The security are working 24/7. It's not everything we know or we be aware of. Some operations are routine. There are people in seeing things every minute or doing things it was not known, because the communication is controlled. But I said it's failure of communication. But again, I said the failure of communication could have cost life. Remember, the army came, according to the police. I said, just depending on what the police said, the army came into something they don't know about. Even though the police have said that all stakeholders were made aware. But then there's a breakdown of communication, because the Navy that went in hot pursuit, or whatever you call it, was not aware. And they went against people who were armed. It could have been sisterly forces, friendly fire. It could have happened. We could have avoided. And I said the incompetency of, I know when you said incompetent, people think that you insulting the entire institution or what. I am just talking about the operations here. I said there's a component that was missing. A mechanism should have been built in. We cannot just inherit something and continue doing it. Time do change. What I said was the protocols should have been amended and a mechanism put in place. That the operation should have involved the Navy. This is what against the police report. Involved the Navy, because the Navy have the responsibility, the mandate to protect our waters, our territorial waters. They have that mandate. And they are equipped. They have the facilities. They have the training. They have the expertise. In order to ensure this is done safely. Hence, the police said the issue was routine. They were taking arms from, securing arms so that they will not be out of, use within our territory, within our territory. Then the Navy should have been involved. And this Navy should have been the entity that would be keeping the arms safe within the port. It should not have left the port. That was my take. Until the army came out with an interview. I think Paradise TV did a fantastic job there and brought another version, the army that was involved. The army spokesman gave an interview and explained another version. the version that contradicts the police, the version that in fact supported what was the news broken to social media. And what was that? Now, we remember the police said that all stakeholders were informed. 1. 2, the police said this was a routine operation which the nationals, they said they're American, working for a company, private contract company, that went to private company that do secure vessels, especially cruise liners along the Gulf of Guinea and other things. And they entered our waters, and they needed to follow the protocols, international security protocols, that they hand over their arms to the national police or national security forces in order for those arms to be kept safe, not be used or fall into the wrong hands until they depart and they will return. This is what they said. It's routine. Now, I said contradiction what the army said. What the army told us was different. One, the army statement said one. And remember, the army came out after the police press statement. I will touch on that. That's very important. If the army was satisfied of the police statement, they would not need to give a statement. Or they can just refer to the reporters to, look, a statement given to by the police, end of. Or they would come out and explain the same statement that the police explained. But no, they contradicted what the police said. First, the army said they received information. They received information, and this is the Navy. They have a mandate to go and investigate. The information received from the Navy, if you understand operational command, a patrol boat would not leave wherever they station, whether in 𝒂𝒂𝗵 or wherever they station within the waters, go for an investigation of that nature without reporting to the operational command, and which is likely to get to a certain level. It might not get, depends how sensitive the information is. Remember, there are contingency plans that follows. That threat have to be understood. Okay, there's a contingent, there's a patrol boat going out there to do this. What sort of information it is? In this case, it's a serious matter that the patrol boat will not just get the message. Where did they get the message from? It's important. But they got the message and they went out to investigate. Now, the patrol boat went out to investigate. What information they had was that arms are coming into the country unlawfully. If they had information that arms are coming into the country, the PIU are doing the escort and it's all legit, they would not have gone out. They would only go out to support the operations. But in this case, contradiction is they don't know that this thing was happening. They got this information from different sources or one of their intelligence networks. Now they went out there to ascertain whether it's a fact or not. And this will be termed as a hostile operation. They will be ready because they were not told that there are human trafficking. They were told arms are involved. Then they would be ready to fight, ready to react, and in that case they would be ready to call for reinforcement if necessary. They went out there and came across a canoe, which means a private person, small boat. And they followed the canoe to Denton Bridge, a canoe. And when the canoe got to Denton Bridge, they searched the canoe. They found 4 PIU officers armed with their personal weapon, 4 PIU. Now, ask yourself, the minute the Navy identified the PIU officers, why why there was any need to search the canoe. I support the Navy for doing that. The Navy have doubt. If the Navy did not have doubt, when they stop the canoe and find these PIA officers, they will be reassured. But they were not reassured. They have to follow it through. They follow it through, searched the canoe and found the weapons, the boxes, and found weapons. But they found the PIA officers, 4 of them. They found the passenger pilot, the canoe, a Gambian national, civilian. They found 2 foreign nationals. The army did not tell us Americans. The army did not tell us contract security. The army said who allegedly, the gentleman used allegedly, are European. What it means is white. They might be European. Probably we must just say that they might be even Americans, but he said European. Probably. What we know, they are white. The army went on. Still now they are not satisfied, and still now the Navy did the right thing. They arrested the PIA officers. They arrested the 2 white fellas, and they arrested the canoe owner with the canoe and the content and took it back to their base in Wafinjago. They did the right thing. They took statements from the 4 PIA officers and others involved, and the 4 PIA officers were released back to their forces. The 2 Europeans were handed to the police for further investigation. This is what we heard from the military. Now ask yourself, if the military was happy with everything they saw, they would not have got to the arresting these people and keeping them there. Even finally, if they got to the level of this, doing to all this, the military, if they were still happy with what have transpired, that they are assured that everything was legit, I think they would not have put out a statement. How many times did we ask for a statement and the army have seen it not necessary and they kept quiet? Or they would refer you to the other institutions that are responding, or the stakeholders to respond. But the army took it onto themselves to respond this time around, which is contrary to what the police have said. Now, Gambia, as I said, take your partisans' lenses off. This is of national security. Now, this contradicts what the police said. The army was not aware of this, of this thing happening. The army took their decision. The other thing is, something revealing the Navy have said, a canoe was used. A canoe. Now, if the police have any mission that required the sister forces, they do have what we call joint operations. I think Gambia even now have a joint operational command, where you have the police, immigration, the army, and other things together. I think even with the GRA. Joint operational command. I think they have that. Now, when the police have a need to do a routine operation like this, and they need a canoe, and these are arms being transported, why did the police not inform the Navy? Because the Navy have a responsibility, a mandate, constitutional responsibility to do what? Protect our waters, not the land area. Land area is for the infantry. If we had an air force, the air force would have been the air force. They would have looked after the aviation, the air. But the Navy we have are responsible for the rivers, tributaries, the waters, wherever we have water. Why did they not consult the Navy? The Navy to go with them to secure this weapons. Now they use a private canoe. Now, now still we haven't got things clear. And I know it's a Gambian thing. That's why I said it's important today to speak out, to share what I think. That's why I emphasized at the beginning, let us not have our partisan lenses here. This is of national security. We have seen in the case of this cocaine, people taking positions due to political affiliations, knowing the facts, seeing the evidence everywhere, but they don't want to know. Now we are seeing weapons. Let us not continue this way. Let us not continue being divided. Let's look after the national interest, the greater good, regardless of where we belong or who we think we are. I use the word think we are, because I think some of us don't even know who we are. Who we think we are. This is something I call for the National Assembly to ask for an independent investigation. The police alone cannot do it. And in fact, why it doesn't warrant the National Assembly here as a stakeholder? I think they are the most independent body now to look into this issue. This is of a grave concern. What are they looking at? I'm not coming into conclusion to say that there's something dodgy with someone else is doing this, but there's enough evidence now to raise concerns. If they look into it, would they find faults? Would they find incompetencies within the operations that would warrant a review to make sure things are done better? Communication and other factors that identify. Would they find something, in fact, subversive? Would they find something even subversive? Yes. There's enough reason. And you know, investigations are done due to reasons. There are enough reasons present in this episode to warrant an investigation, an inquiry. Because of what? The geopolitics. We have seen similar. And I'll get to that. Now, that's we asking for this investigation, and I hope Gambians would be careful about this and to ask our parliament to investigate this and to try to get to the bottom of this. I said, I think there's a vacuum here. The Paradise TV did a good job by bringing the army, but again, the vacuum we have in our media, it's range from one to another. We don't have financial experts in our media. We don't have security experts in our media. We don't have a lot of expertise in our media. The media is not just to go out there, just follow the mainstream narrative. We need critical thinkers. We need people with expertise. That's when a news break, try and use that expertise to get to the bottom of it and inform the people. We have a capacity problem with our media. We have a capacity problem with our civil society. This issue, the civil society should take on. I think the capacity problem we have with our civil society is again on the competencies to follow through, competencies to investigate, to competencies to hold institution to account. Be it the utility companies, be it service delivery, be it any sector, the public sector, how do we hold them accountable? Be it on corruption, we need capacity on this. And these are the areas I'm exploring, I'm reflecting on for my way forward. How do I participate in these vacuums and order? We'll talk about that later. We need the civil society, we need the media, and we need politicians on this, so that we can have get to the bottom of this. Why is it? There's another story that's been going on since November about a plane, a Boeing plane that was purchased in Kuwait, one of 3 planes purchased from Kuwait by a Gambian. We don't know who the Gambian is. Some of us have names, but we are not irresponsible to put the name out there. A Gambian that purchased this plane, brought the plane to the Gambia. We don't have the records of where else the plane flew. But again, behind the scenes, we learn about the plane flying to certain destinations. Again, we don't even know what's happened to our airport. Now, this plane is involved and likely to break the government in Bissau. The plane flew from the Gambia to Bissau. The crew of the plane, again, before the plane was searched, the plane have things in it. Even the Bissau government are not talking much about the content, but drugs and arms are suspected. Where does it come from? The plane flew from the Gambia to Bissau. Now, they said cocaine and arms were involved. Now, you see, Gambia again, we need to investigate this. And that's why we should be worried about the arms, this thing the police are telling us about arms. It seems, as I said, we didn't have refunds. It seems the state capture, the cartel, have, leverage in many areas. And I know. If Gambians would not want to accept that, I've put it out there enough. That's for Gambians. But I know the cartel, have control over. If we are going to wait to see more, let's just wait and see more. But I think it's not wise. I think we have seen enough evidence in that country with the cocaine and now the arms. This is not the first arms, remember the other arms. And always remember something, when you catch one, probably 5 have gone through. Rarely you catch the first one. Rarely you catch the first one. When you catch one, don't think of, did I miss others? That's why we should be concerned. And I said again, as Gambians, not on partisan lenses. It's not about politics. For the national interest to come together and think of the institutions we have, to the stakeholders that need to play a role, to make sure they play the role to say, guide that country. That's what I asked for. Now, this issue in Bissau, the plane is in Bissau. Guess what? The Prime Minister, who is head of government, have ensured the government played their role to impound the plane and call for international stakeholders, different agencies to come down to Bissau to examine the plane, to investigate the issue. But again, they have constituted a parliamentary and now a commission to investigate this matter in Bissau. Bissau are cleaning their act. That's why we need to clean our act. Bissau is cleaning their act. The government doing the right. But guess what? The president of Bissau, Mpalo is kind of protected. Mpalo said he knew the group. In one statement, people that followed it, one statement, he said he knew the person, a Gambian guy who is good, a good guy. He said a Gambian guy. Now he said he knew the group. They are good. They are even better than him. Just imagine what president will say that. Vouching for people, I know the group, they are even better than me. That tells you of state capture. The group have controlled Mpalo. Again, Gambia. Another thing I know Gambians don't want to think about, some Gambians don't want to think about, or you tell them Ibrahima Solo Mare, a Gambian national, in May, was found dead in a hotel in Guinea-Bissau. That same day, Ibrahima Solo Mare, a Gambian, was in the company of Middle Eastern people. We don't know. People just say Arab. Let me say Middle Eastern people. Some people that we spoke to said they are Turkish. And there have been, most of the incidents happening now are Turkish. So that day he passed away, he visited the president of Guinea-Bissau. And from there on, that evening, he went to a dinner with these Middle Easterns and went to bed. He's no more. Just I want to say, to put out there. And people with the security lenses can think about this. The Bissau president have been compromised in this case, in this Boeing case. It's up to Gambians. Let's take our partisan lenses. This is not about political parties. This is about our national security. We should hold our institutions. That's why I call the civil society, I call politicians, call citizens to make sure we look into this. That's the geopolitics of it. I mean, as I said, let's come down to, and just to explain another thing, just as I said, it's about what's on my mind. Gambians keep on, I'm doing this counting meter, counting how many days the cocaine, how many days the petroleum. It's very important, and most Gambians have recognized that. But I know some people are expecting the answers. I'm not expecting the answers from this government. I'm expecting Gambians and reminding Gambians to reflect on these things. And Gambians to do. It's only Gambians that can get the answers out. This government would not give you the answers. They know the answers. They will not. The answers will have to be forced out of them. If we don't, we'll be there. 𝗏𝗏 is just doing his bit. These things are still out there. And the meters will go on as much as I have time for them. That's what my contribution is. What's your contribution is for yours. This is for 𝗏𝗏. I know where the answers are, but what can I do? I don't have the mandate. People have the mandate. Your parliament have the mandate. The justice system have the mandate. The citizens, we all have mandate. My mandate, I'm trying to do. I hope we do our mandate. Coming to that is, I've seen some cocaine and a lot of cannabis being put to fire. Look, let's give them benefit of that cocaine. But you ask yourself, have you ever had anybody try for cocaine in the Gambia? With all the cocaine, where are the suspects? That's what you should ask. They are putting some cocaine, and we know that the amount of cocaine we accounted for, which is evidence out there, we know the cocaine that we accounted for, we have not seen that cocaine being born yet. There might be exhibits still being whole. But if these are exhibits being whole because they've not gone through the courts yet, what about the exhibits being born? Have they gone through the courts? Who have been held responsible? We should think of that. We should think of that. Who is held responsible for this? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Now, if you believe that they burned the cocaine, fine. But we have not seen the evidence of the cocaine being burned. We see blocks of things being burned. Might be flour, might be anything. Do you know why we have that? That we have seen that before. Even in the First Republic. Things claim to be burned, they've never been burned. Be it currencies from central bank, be in cocaine, be in other things. Yahya Jammeh did the same thing. And you think that it might not happen? I'm not saying it's happened. I don't have the evidence. But I say just think critically. The most important thing is what we have not seen is people being taken to trial. That's why I said this meter will keep on going on, and it's just for the Gambian consciousness to see what they do with it. And the third point in my mind, and not only my mind, as I said in my mind, these are things I'm discussing. Obviously I'm refraining from discussing certain things on air, because at times you have to measure. Is it best to talk about it on air? Or when it's best to talk about it on air? And so you have to put a lot of things in consideration to get on air. But apart from my family, my time is spent in discussions, forums, and stuff like that. And I want to again continue to ask Gambians to reflect, just as I said in my last program a few weeks ago, and to be very cautious. We have to be very careful, and this is on all sides. You see, I did not say both sides, because I think Gambians think that we have two problems. No, we have a problem as a nation on all sides. A country is governed by the public, private, and society. And all the sectors have leadership. And all the leadership comes from society itself. Always remember that. Political parties are just part of the institutions of the public sector, which we put the political parties that because of they go out there, compete to form government. Then your difference as political parties might be belonging to different ideology or whatever they subscribe to, which is legitimately going through, but technically you are within the same spur, then think of that. Whatever your differences, you have more in common. But again, as Gambians, with other differences we think we have, I will use the word think again consciously, because some Gambians even think they have differences in certain things which are technically no differences, and that would take us to tribe. I mean, some Gambians who claim to be something, I cannot see that being that thing anyway. Me speaking to you, everybody, I mean, think my surname is 𝗏𝗏, because that's officially 𝗏𝗏 is my surname. But my surname is 𝗕𝗏. You see, there's a history already, and just in my surname there's history. And that 𝗏𝗏, if you follow that history, that 𝗏𝗏 even tells you a history. Why that 𝗏𝗏? Yes, I own a plot of 𝗏𝗏. It's part of me. Just as the 𝗕𝗏 is part of me. You see, that's a lot of things make us who we are. It's not the surname. A lot of surnames have evolved. We have evolved. We all belong to one mankind. And Gambia, we always project our religion, and all religion agreed on all our Ibrahim's religions agreed on that one, the oneness, that humanity. Now we come to what bound us together, a nation. The Gambia bound us together. Yes, a Gambia which came out of empires. Gambia which came out of, which is part of Africa, came out of empire. The Mali Empire, other empires that Gambia was part of. Then, why I say this is about the leadership. Because generally, it's not the people. It's what is out there. That's the people that have leadership. And I said leadership. I am not taking myself and you watching this out of this. We should be very careful. We have, as I said, we have the political leaders, we have the private sector, and we have the social sector. And we have leadership in all of this. And the leadership are minority all the time, but the leadership are the people influencing, leading, influencing the outcome. And the outcome have not been good. That means that leadership have been failing. And in general, in all. But let's understand this. The leadership have been failing, but delivering on one thing. Delivering for the politician, delivering for the private sector. Not in a good way. I mean, some people some politicians now have a track record from our first republic to now. Opportunism, they benefit from the status quo. Some part of the private sector, not generally the private sector, some part of the private sector benefit from the status quo. In society itself, the social sector, be it civil society, be it traditional leaders, be it whatever leadership you call them, benefit from this. But the Gambia as a nation are not, the Gambia as a nation, the people are not benefiting, the country is not being seen in a good light. We are regressing, going backwards. Now, that's why I said we have to reflect on this. The partisanship, the tribal angles, we have to be very careful. And at the end of the day, as I said, if we say that we belong to a political party, we are in partnership with other political parties. We are in the same sector, the public sector. We should all work for the common good. If we say that we are a tribe, we don't have that in Gambia. I know we want to believe that, or people want us to believe that. Yes, we have people. Now, even people evolved to be tribalist. Evolved to be tribalist. They were not nurtured to be tribalist. They were not nurtured to be tribalist. They evolved to be tribalist. We have that. I'm not disputing that. But do we allow those people to influence the outcomes? Or should we silence those people by putting facts out there and being restrained on others, mute them so that the country will progress? That's what we should ask. And by talking about this, I'm talking about consciousness. There are a lot of Gambians who I said always, we call educated, we call sophisticated, we call everything else. But I mean, we feel that we going by emotions. We go by emotions a lot. I'm one of the most emotional people. And I know when we talk about emotions, we don't talk about people that will cry because of whatever they feel or anything. I'm one of the most emotional men. I cry like a baby on anything. If I feel like crying, I cry. If it touches me, I cry. I feel things. I feel the pressure. I feel the nervousness. I feel the fear. I feel all that. But one thing we do have to control it. We try and control it. What do we control is what we say when we feel that emotions. Whether do filter that for the greater good. Some positions we have might be extreme. We should care to think of what forum do we share this. Some things we have might be complex, might be complicated. Do we have time to make sure we explain this properly? We just don't throw it out there. It might be misunderstood and it might cause trouble. Do we select the medium we speak and how we speak in that medium? Because before it will take it out of context or will make other people to be angry or react negatively to it. It's our responsibility to do. We need to reflect on that. One thing we have to remember that Gambia, just as Senegal and other countries, and even Europe, America, is always under state capture. I'm not going to that, just to keep it in Gambia. We are under state capture. We have not seen our desires. I mean the conscious Gambian, the average Gambian have not. Why? Then why are we fighting among each other? We are not fighting in improving things. We are fighting against each other and things are not improving. Let us be smart enough then think about this. This will take us thinking of the state capture and the greater good, and think of the status quo. Be the politician, think of what is ahead, think of the reforms, think of creating that greater good. Why? When we talk about the tribal, as I said, I am in some forums, not many forums, just some forums, about 3-4 forums. And two of the forums only have 5 people in it, 5 people. One of the other forums is UK Gambia, it's about Gambians in the UK, something like that. And another forum, it's got a diverse background of Gambians. I mean, it's open to certain diverse part of Gambians. And I participate in these forums, apart from coming on social media like the Facebook, in order to gauge. I might be silent, I share, I might do a little bit of contribution, because most of my contributions are on programs or other ways, and I'll put it there. But as I said, it educates us, it makes us share, which is very important. That's why when we are in these forums too, we help each other and reflect, contribute. And one thing came out. You know, when we talk about this tribal, people would just put it onto Fula, Mandinka, Wolof Sose, Mandinka, Jola, and others. But we don't try to see what is causing this to be a problem. It's not an individual. There's a system in here. It becomes a system. 1, 2, 3, it becomes a system. We look at this thing. In the First Republic, it was present. And it killed off brilliant citizens. Brilliant citizens. We still hold some of these people very negative in certain sectors or certain areas. In order, we celebrate them. And these people should not be whole in that manner. They should be celebrated nationally. Do we hear about 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔? Do we hear about 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔? Do you know, I mean, be it all our failures, it's not the tribe that caused it. Look at the cause of it. What cause of it? Why we have this thing about tribe? is interest. It's interest. Because we all play, all tribe been played. All tribes have been played by people that have interest in playing the tribes in order for them to have what they want. And that's the national cake. They don't care about tribe. No. They use it. Just as we blame the colonials of using tribe. Now, the state capital used tribe. Just as the colonial tribe. And when we talk about tribe, I know we just go for tribe, but what about the other minorities? What about our Christians? What about the Christians? You see, when it comes to Christians, Gambians don't see a problem. When it comes to Christians, their rights, and Gambians don't see a problem. The same person that tell you about tribe, defending themselves or defending their tribe, did not see the Christian. But it's getting bad. Now we have, they call they call it they call it the Wahhabis, and we have the Sunnah, or they call the Wahhabi or the Sunnas, and we have the others. But even those people, when it comes to the Ahmadiyas, they don't see a problem. They don't see a problem. You see the interest. People think that they are working toward their interest. No, we've been played. And the state capture is playing us. We see that in the First Republic, and it came to what? The dictatorship. We've seen it. Look at the people involved in all this, the people involved in the First Republic, people involved in the dictatorship, and the tribes involved. And now we are having it again. Is it solving our problems? No. And that's why we have to be very careful. Because why are we careful? Many people are playing part in it now, without some even realizing it. Because people don't see themselves, I am fighting my right, I am right. Be careful. That's why I say let's reflect. That's why, again too, if you're taking part in the debate, be very careful. Because know the cause of it. There's a lot of things, and it's sad that our landed people, in fact, are not dealing with this properly. They are even becoming a part of that problem. Some people now see themselves as victims. I am fighting back. They are defensive. In that defensiveness, they are offending other people. Now they become part of the problem themselves. Initially, because they are reacting to something that's said to what they believe it's them. Now, you continue in the defense, in your trenches, saying that you are defending against this. For argument's sake, let's say I'm a Fuller now. I said that I am defending the Fullers. Defend these Fullers from who? Which Fullers am I defending? How can I defend the Fullers? Do I have a region exclusively for Fullers, just as we see in Ethiopia, recognized in the constitution, just as we see in Nigeria, recognized in the constitution? And every country that had happened, what it ended up being? Just as we saw in Yugoslavia before, what it ended up happening? Up to being recognized in the constitution, thinking that, okay, this is the best way to rule. Today we see what happened in Ethiopia. We don't have that. Just as we see in Kenya, and we end up seeing every elections, how it end up. One thing in Gambia, yeah, we are still at the bottom there when it comes to it, I'll tell you, because we this thing, but end of the day, it becomes peaceful. But it will not continue this way. We have to just knock it off. Knock it off, we take responsibility and do it. That's why I need to reflect. Why I said this, how can I defend the Fullers? There's no special region of the Fullers where I can take the Fullers and say that I'm going to barricade here and now Fullers would enjoy this entity. They have more rights here than anybody else. They will have more benefits here than anybody else. They will live here in peace. It's impossible. Because I am not even married to a Fula. I am not only related to a Fula. I am not even made of a Fula alone. I am made of a Jalumka. I am made of a Fula. I am made of many things. And some of my siblings are made of all things. Other tribes. That's what we have in the Gambia. Not even like Senegal, that you might say the north is technically this, the south is technically that, part of the south is technically, part of the south is technically this. We don't even have that. Then how can I protect the Fullers? And against who? I've not seen any particular entity that is coming after the Fullers. I know that people will want to believe that, but I'm not as stupid to believe that. Because I have been around, I've read. And I am not going with my emotions. Even though my emotions have been hurt before by individuals or certain things that happen. But what I do is try to understand those people and understand the issues that transpired without putting my emotions ahead. By using my mind to decode what actually happened here. Policy problem, whatever it is. How would I now deal with this issue, knowing all this? How do I protect myself? How do I this? And who is me? The Gambian. The Gambian. You think the people dying in the back way are only one tribe? They are Gambian youths, and they involve everybody. You think people hungry are of one tribe? You think any are one tribe? You think the people, the cattle, you think the cattle are of one tribe? You think the state capture is by one tribe? No. Then we should be very careful how we deal with this. And we think about this, thinking ahead of the state capture. Politicians, what's ahead of us? We have reforms. We have reforms. We have a constitution to come. Before constitution, in fact, we have the parliamentary elections to come. We have local government to come. Again, you see, these are mechanisms. These are institutions. These are things that can dictate how we live peacefully, how we live progressively. Are we going to, again, use the tribe factor to be our deciding factor against selecting the best candidates among us? Are we going to be allowed to be fooled again to stay with arguing about tribe or deciding about tribes for our candidates, or rather candidates? These are things we have to deal with and to look over. But again, the reforms. You think in any reforms, think about this again. That's why I said, look, we have to be, these things are not structured in that way. The fear factor, it is fabrication, everything is into controllers. You think in the constitution there will be anywhere a tribe would be mentioned, that this tribe would be this tribe would be that, this region would be this region would be that? You see, in Nigeria, this is why Nigeria cannot progress. It's always in war. We see the south, we see the north, we see everything else. But the people causing the war and everything, they are billionaires, they are millionaires, their children are billionaires, millionaires, they are marrying each other. They don't care about their Christianity, they don't care about their Muslim, they are not care about their Northerners, they are not care about Southerners, they don't care about Westerners, they don't care about anything. They don't care about Nigeria itself, the wealth. The children can live anywhere they want. They can aspire to be anything else. It's only that God does not allow that to happen. It does not end well with them. The same thing we have in the Gambia. But we don't wait for God to do that. We do what we should do in order to avert all this. We have to think about these reforms, the constitution. If we're not careful, what constitution are we going to have? But again, we think about the greater good. The status quo cannot be maintained. As it regresses, what it does is conflict. It will end in conflict. It's not to anybody's interest. The cartel members don't, the state capturers are selfish. They don't think about that. But we should think about that. That's why I'm appealing to Gambians, appealing to us that have little bit of education, little bit of experience, we who have seen a lot, to try to ensure that country is stable. Let's nip this. I mean, I know some people are, I love when, you see, again, let's come to this. It's sad that if our ancestors are smarter than us, we should be smarter than our ancestors. If any parent should be worried, if they have kids that they are smarter, any parent should be worried if they have kids, what Wolof said, 𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏😊 we should, or we all aspire our kids to be better off in any form. But it's not happening in Africa. I'm not only talking about Gambia, but let's keep it to Gambia. It's not happening in Gambia. You see, with the history we have, with all the conflicts we had before, we had them. We had rivalry, we had conflicts. But one thing we did was, we have a kind of covenant within tribes. Jola, Fula, Serhuli, Kabunka, I mean, different things, even regions, to keep the peace and to progress. That's why I see when it is that mechanism is applied, to keep the peace to progress, which is great. To break the ice is great. But we know that people are using to break the ice in order to do bad. We have to be careful. That's why I said that we should be thinking progressively. Bipartisanship, bipartisans should have a limit to it. You love your party as much as possible, be careful. And this goes for all parties. The rivalry should stop somewhere. End of the day, the greater good, the peace and stability of the country. And let us not see ourselves as anything. Yes, we can be proud of all cultures we have, or the person we made, but if we are that, we should be proud of being a Gambian, because Gambia entails everything else. I'm more proud of nothing more than being a Gambian, because I don't put any tribe above none. I am happy who I am because of what all these people I share with. And again, that's the same thing we should think about Christian minorities. We should think about Ahmadiyas, because now we should not even see this, but Ahmadiyas are seen, and they becoming victims with all the rights they have. But we know that the division, it did not end up that. Even the Sunnis are divided now. Some people are claiming to be more Sunni than others. But this is why we should be careful and to make sure we behave ourselves. And again, on social media, it's a force for good, but let us be very careful how we use it to be negative. Let's come to the other bit. The other bit is what's on my mind. Is yesterday I shared something about what Denzel said, Denzel Washington, and I said I have to read the quote again properly. I know what the quote is, but just would read it the way it's been put down by Denzel. Something Denzel Washington said. I said I'm a very emotional person, but this quote, what happened when I was reading the papers yesterday online, and I came across Denzel and I looked at it, the quote, and I had to share, because the quote just mean a lot. And what happened was I was very emotional reading it, because I was reading it and thought about my mom. Thought about my mom, thought about my wife, thought about my daughter, thought about my brothers, thought about family and society as it is. And that emotion was driven by empathy. That emotion was driven by empathy. And the other bit was having a voice. What I understand is Denzel having a voice. He did not say something that we don't know. But he said this, and surprised how much it impacts because of the voice he had. He shared that voice. And I think about the little voice I have myself to, let me, as I've said, I believe in doing the little that you have and contributing to the greater good. And I said, the little voice I have, not the Denzel one, let me do my little. It means a lot. It means a lot that I have that voice. But I know the way that Denzel impact me, this voice would impact others by just sharing other people and make them to understand other things. I said, let me share on social media. But what did this thing mean to us? And what Denzel said was, a mother is a son's first true love. A son, especially that first son, is a mother's last true love. That's what I said. And if you read in detail, he explained what that means. But we look into and I mean, everybody, I mean, the reaction was great, and they just said they believe. I mean, they all believed it. We all believed it. It's a fact. But what does this mean is, for me, it's empathy. And this is true of, again, the gender, the feminine and masculine. The way we relate men and women, the way we relate to each other as men, the way we relate to each other as women, as rivals. We might love each other, but we are rivals. Even in our family, we love each other, but we'll be rivals because your sisters or the other way. And again, it's the way we are created, or our genes, and the way we feel for each other. That's why, again, people that believe in the opposite attraction, I mean, falling opposite attractions, this is what it is again. But empathy here, because the empathy that you develop from these relationships, this empathy should be extended to society itself. It's not, it should end with our mothers or our sisters, but this is the empathy that we should try to translate, try to take up to our wives, to our sisters that we are not biologically related, sisters in humanity itself as gender. This is the same feelings that we talk about, the mother and a son, is the same we have a father and a daughter. It's the same we have a father and a daughter. You see how fair it is. It's not unfair. But my experience is, again, is empathy. Because again, you might feel this, it might be a natural thing. But what makes it work is the empathy, that empathy being nurtured. We have parents who are not maternal. We have parents who have not that paternal. And what we find out, it becomes a conflict. The relationship became loose or break. But does not mean that the love is not there. But what holds that is the empathy. That's why it's important to note onto that empathy. But finally, just to say it again, the way forward. When we reflect, as I said, I am in the course of reflection to my journey. This is personal to my journey. Anything else I involve in is just part of my journey. It's nobody else. I mean, generally, yes, circumstances will dictate it on other things, but it's not been dictated by anything else. And my interest and my personal interest, which I consciously do think of all the time, is where it matters would be for the greater good. I try to do that, not to be selfish to the extent that I subscribe to something that's not to the greater good. And that helped me to keep my independence, to work for my independence, not to be dependent, to rely on things that will force me to take decisions, to associate due to my personal, to personal development or personal well-being or for my survival. No, that's why it's very important to have that. And I'm moving forward. My reflections that always would be, and I ask governments to reflect on this, and obviously would be based on their family. Anything we do, if we can start with our family and do with our family, what else can we do it? We can't. If we want to impact on society, we have to start with the family. And the circle, and our personal circumstances. We have to deal with our personal circumstances. We cannot fail with this. Certain things we have, our basic responsibilities, duties. We fail on this and expect to impact on another level. That's false. And we need to reflect on that. And we need to consult. That's what I do. I'm talking about myself here. I need to consult. Consult people that have more knowledge or that might have different views. Might not even views that you subscribe to, but listen to that view. Listen to that. It helps you to improve the view you have. That tolerance. We have to try to practice that tolerance. We might listen. We might not even have to respond. Or we have to respond somewhere else or some another way. But it's important to us to be tolerant, to listen to other views. And let other people have their say. We cannot force this. We cannot shut them down. But again, we need to consult on subjects, matters that we don't have expertise in. There's a reason people go to law school to become barristers. There's a reason people become doctors and other things. We cannot be all. But that does not mean that we cannot have a view on all of things. We can. How do we do that? Because we consult on issues that we think that we want to express ourselves in order to have facts, to have understanding, to able to express ourselves. This is important, to keep our voice and have our expression. Doesn't mean that we are completely right, but we participate in that debate. It's need to hold the debate. Experts do get things wrong. Certain opinions might come out wrong. When they thought they have it right, everything tidy up, and when put out there as a policy, later on it becomes something wrong. Right now, I am considering law of office. People that want to have projects or want to embark on projects and they consider me to be part of that project. As I said, I'm on reflection, I'm considering law of office. But what determined this, taking up this office, as I always said, is where I can impact. And for the greater good, decided to impact the greater good, my independent, where I share the values, people have share values with and so on. I'm considering all this. It's not something I'm rushing to take up. And in that meantime, I'm holding up and wait to see how things play out. But that impact would be, I'm looking at where there are vacuums. I don't want to duplicate other people's effort. I don't think there are other people doing enough of anything. But I just want to see, and that impact would be where I have a little bit of experience, where I have a little bit of knowledge, where I'm in to participate. And obviously one part of that would be national security and other things, and to build a partnership. As much as I work individually on myself, but I know we can't impact by individuals. We have to have partnership. And the importance of that partnership is for that to impact well, to good, but to make sure it's sustainable. Because that partnership or consultation and partnership we do is to give ownership. It's important to give ownership to the people. But ownership too, again, of having ownership of something, because of you want to protect that, to represent what you want it to be representing, the original why reasons it was. But you cannot own it exclusively. The people have to own it. Whatever I participate in that sphere, people have to own it. It's for society. And again, because I might not be here tomorrow, that thing needs to be here. And that for that thing to be impact, people have to own it, people have to see themselves in it. That's why I said anything else we do, that's where it will be. Till then, again, I don't know when it's gonna be, but if I have anything that would need me to be out to speak about, I'll come out. But till then, I am appealing to Gambians. Let's continue to reflect I mean, and damping down a little bit of our partisan, energy, and clear our lenses, and to be looking more after the greater good, and for the peace and stability, and to be thinking of ourselves more of a Gambian, and to know ourselves better, that we are more than what we think we are. We are not only one thing, we are all these things, and what defines that all those things is Gambia. And we should be thinking of that, being that Gambian. And to our emotions to be controlled, in a sense that let us be very careful to not end up defending ourselves or defending a position to the extent of being the problem. And again, to be very measured, to be very sensitive in taking part in discussions or forums, and to help, in fact, to counsel people to hold back or to be measured in the forums that you say your views or you participate in, and especially on social media here, to be very responsible for what we do. As for, it's for the greater good. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a long one. I never wanted it to be that long, but unfortunately it is. I hope the message will be understood. Thank you very much. Thank you.